registration process introduced by LSSSDC. So we will start with the first session. After the sessions are over, Hemant also will be presenting the feedback form introduced by Skill Development Council, where that is the form where all of us have to use as stakeholders to share and submit our feedback. And subsequent to that, we can have a detailed open house where we all can share our thoughts and our ideas and suggestions or whatever it is. So we will start with the session, and we will start with our first speaker for today. That's Hemant, who will be presenting about the competency criteria. So over to you, Hemant.
Okay, thank you so much, madam, and welcome you all in the wonderful session. So, in a public domain, stakeholders, we supposed to give the feedback of document which is published by LSSSDC. I will talk about the competency criteria for the consultant who will be participate as a consultant in the scheme. So I'm going to share my screen so that I can brief you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So maybe now you are able to see my screen.
Yeah. Yes.
So there is two document published by LSSSDC. One is the manual, the scheme manual, and second one is the competency standard for the medical device consultant. So document number LSSSDC oblique MDCCS oblique CS oblique document D, then volume 2. This is a draft for public consultation, and they have extended the date for the stakeholder feedback by 31st July 2026. And there are three categories specifically defined in the document. One is consultant. So this required minimum 3 years of industry experience. Second is senior consultant. This require minimum 5 years of experience plus uh, equal or not less than 10 projects, successful project. And the principal consultant, minimum 10 years of exposure in the domain, not less than 25, equal to or 25 projects, successful projects in the medical device or IVD. There are total 9 competency domain. They have explained in the competency document which is required as a consultant or senior consultant. If consultant, individual consultant in the personal certification as per ISO 17024 requirement. So domain H and domain I is additional for the senior and the principal consultant. Now we can discuss one by one the specific criteria which is required in all the domains. The purpose of this document is to define the competency requirement for medical device consultant. The framework supports the structure, transparent, impartial assessment criteria based on the IEC ISO 17024, that is conformity assessment or for the journal requirement bodies operating the certification personnel, the PRCB. So this scheme and the competency criteria developed based on the international standard, and the scope for this scheme or document is for the consultant, senior consultant, and the principal consultant. So framework addresses common competency applicable across the medical device domains, and the device specific competencies required additionally for the senior consultant or the principal consultant. So this is the document detail published by the LSSSDC for the public consultation. It is available on the website of LSSSDC. So I will share you the link, or maybe link is already available in the consultant consortium of Chennai website also. So you can go through the link and download the document, or you can give the feedback. Then total assessment points, the credits is the 70 points for all 7 categories, additional 2 9 categories for consultant and the principal consultant is 10 of each section. So I or H. So if you file the application as a principal consultant or the senior consultant, you're supposed to assess on total 90 points and 9 domain criteria. Recommended educational background, this is non-mandatory, but in the document it is defined for the engineering like biomedical, STEAM, mechanical, electrical, electronics and chemical, etc. And for the life, another education qualification requirement is life sciences, pharmacy and biotechnology. Then medical, dental and allied health sciences. Then quality regulatory management disciplines with the relevant experience in the healthcare domain, specifically medical device and IVDs. The experience requirement for the consultant is 3 years that I have already explained to you in the first slide. Senior consultant minimum 5 years and principal consultant minimum 10 years. So success project required for the consultant supervised consulting, not specifically defined. How many projects need to be completed by the consultant, but senior consultant, it is specifically defined in the document, not less than 10 project or equal to 10 project, and static advisory or 25 minimum project for principal consultant. Now, come to the mandatory competence domains. There are 7 mandatory competence domain, additional 2 for the consultant, senior consultant and the principal consultant. So first domain is the regulatory knowledge. Regulatory knowledge majorly defined for the Indian market, that is MDR 2017 GSR 78E. CDSO is a regulator or its guidelines, and EU MDR, US FDA, UK MHRA, and TGA, and maybe in future so on. But now these are the bare minimum regulatory requirement has been addressed by LSSSDC in their competency document. Technical documentation and QMS, this is the second domain. Here, the schedule 4th, appendix 1, 2, and 3 requirement, and schedule 5th requirement for the quality management system of Indian MDR 1345, that is generic quality management standard for medical device and IVD, CP, CER, PSUR, and SSCP. And third is the clinical performance evidence and awareness. Fourth is risk management, PMS, vigilance, and FSCA. Sixth is consulting and methodology competence. Sixth is communication, analytical, and behavioral competence. And seventh is experience, individual, professional, and practice. And 2 additional competency criteria for senior and the principal consultant only. That is weightage for these 2 sections is 10 each and in total 20. So document is already available in the public domain. You can download it, and this is the specific characteristics or questions which is asked by in the assessment cycle. You will when you file the application. These are the basic criteria on the basis the consultant or senior consultant or principal consultant will be evaluated by the concerning body. So for domain A, the regulatory knowledge. Domain B for technical documentation and QMS skills. And domain C for clinical performance and evidence awareness. Domain D, risk management, PMS and vigilance and FSCA. Consulting methodology and competency, domain E. Or domain F, communication, analytical and behavioral. And domain F, communication, analytical, behavioral, that is continued requirement. And domain G for experience, evidence, and the professional practice. These A to G is the mandatory domains, maximum 10 point each, and in total that is 70. All candidate means consultant, senior consultant, and principal consultant mandatorily uh, process or evaluated all mandatory 7 domains. But for the senior and the principal consultant, they have to additionally evaluated on success, domain H and domain I. Domain H is for the startup, new product launch and competence, and domain I is monitoring and the coaching competence. And these are the specific consideration, point 1 to point 5. Now, the document link is available on LSSDC website. Here is login page, and this is the form I will discuss you in the next session after completing the system manual. Okay, so I can show you. No. Okay, I will share you in the next session. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please write in the chat box. So we will discuss this.
Will take.
I have one question. Can I ask it now?
Yeah, actually, a question and answers, we thought we'll keep it towards
Okay,
the end.
later.
Yeah, if it's fine. But there's something Hemant, Mr. Shashi Sinha mentioned that domain H and I are not spelled out. I'm not too sure what he means.
Okay, it is there is because we cannot
In your
explain
document.
officially other than the published document. So
Okay,
the
okay.
characteristics already given in the domain H and I. If you see the domain H, that is additionally will be additionally evaluation for the senior consultant and the principal consultant. So person or the individual who has the strategic or deliver the strategic consulting project to the industry or for the startup or for the new company, start from scratch or the greenfield project. So these are some key consideration for H1 to H8 you can see, and it is available in the document. If you have any question, we can explain in the next Q&A.
Yeah.
Well, let me then ask, is the definition of project given anywhere in this document?
No, in the application form only.
So this is an open end, For somebody, project may mean something different, and for other person, it may mean something different.
Right.
Right. And also, you very clearly said the strategic consultancy part, right? Now, if you look at 4 levels, now strategic consultancy is something which does not come easily to people.
Right.
Now, this is something, a lot depends on it. Like this needs further discussion in terms of bullet points as to what it should be, so that it not become, like you said, greenfield. If it becomes greenfield, and what if somebody is doing it brownfield? They are technically the same, right?
Yes.
So there has to be a more logical justification in terms of bullet points for the definition of project, and also the defining things as strategic consultancy, because this is very critical, and people can perceive it differently.
This is what we have to do in the feedback session, because this
Absolutely.
document is written by the another committee. So
Correct.
being a CCC or GMDF, we just explain the document whatever.
Makes a fair point. Yes, makes a fair point.
So not only this, there are many other things which will need a proper clear definition.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we have clear definition, then only the document will be clear. Otherwise, always there will be some kind of ambiguity. Like
Right.
in the educational qualification, also you will need to include BSc Physics, Chemistry, means that, or MSc can also be included. It's not only the engineering. Other you have just mentioned life sciences and all. So you need to include many of those things, and proper definition about each and every aspect has to be there.
The terms and definitions are not there actually. We will discuss, because they said as per 17025, normative
No,
definition.
Ramaji, 17025 is different. MDR is different.
24
Yeah, 24
doesn't
is
have all these
different. Yeah.
definitions.
24. They mentioned that.
Sir,
That
Yeah.
is why.
we all
Let
did
me
our individual assessment or reviewed this document. We kept aside that this means our assessment. So we will discuss this later in Q&A session because
Yes.
I just presented the document whatever published by them.
Yes.
So in
But
my
but
viewpoint
just
and
one
your
comment.
viewpoint,
Just one comment is
Mm.
I'm hearing this word strategic consulting. Is that there? Because startup consultants, there was a demand that startup consultants should be addressed separately, and we tried to separate to address startup consulting. But strategic consulting, is this mentioned there?
yes. Startup and new project launch company. I have to see it again. The document.
No,
Original
sir,
No,
it
the
document
was
word
not
is
mentioned.
strategic. Somebody is using strategic consulting, and I'm wondering where is this used?
I
No,
have
no, it was not
read the
mentioned in
document.
the document.
Document has certainly has a provision for startup consulting. Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
startup it is there, but strategic was not there, sir.
not there.
Yeah, I thought it's not there because I don't remember.
It is my
No,
mistake.
it is not there.
No, it is
And
not there. Only startup.
Heman
Yes.
ji, I भी दिखाइए ना. H columm you have shown to us. Just I bullets.
हाँ, वो मैं दिखाता हूँ. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, yes. Mentoring and coaching. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you, Hemant, for that
Thank you so
detailed
much.
presentation, for compiling all these points, multiple slides capturing the requirements. Now let's move on to the next session by Manikam sir about the scheme manual, which talks about the certification process, how the consultants have to register themselves, how they get certified and all that. So over to you, Manikam sir.
Yeah, just I will
Yeah.
make my screen visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, friends. Thanks, Ramaji, for giving an opportunity to go through the draft document and then to present for everybody's thoughts and then to provide comment for improvement and then taking forward. So in my session, I would like to go through the overview of the certification process, which has been proposed in the Skill Development Council document. Purpose of giving this document is Skill Development Council has taken the initiative to develop certification scheme for medical device consultants in accordance with the international standard for personal certification, considering the standard ISO 17024, thereby enabling the availability of skilled and certified resources in India. and also to have a consistent consulting consistent approach that will facilitate. The objective of this document provided is to define the process for certifying the consultant, medical device consultant, against the mandate provided by the Skill Development Council. The scope of this document explains the certification process under the Medical Device Consultant Certification Scheme. In the document, it was referred in scheme subsequently, and the requirements that to be followed to obtain the certification and maintain the certification of consultants based on the competence standard which has been prescribed, which just now Mr. Amand has provided the overview. Based on that, the consultant will be they will be provided with the certification, and they need to maintain ongoing basis. The certification is categorized into 3 levels of consultants based on their qualification, work experience, and number of projects delivered. It is in 3 categories. Level 1 is consultant, level 2 senior consultant, level 3 principal consultant. So the consultants are categorized into 3 ways based on their competency and their experience, etc. This scheme follows the standard 17024. I don't know, I indicated 2026, I think it may be wrong, I don't know from where I got it. Conformity Assessment Certification of Persons. This is the standard title, 17024. All terms and definitions, terminologies will be applied based on the standard 17024. I would like to present this draft, which consider the scheme with some of the requirement with reference to application related activities where the consultant applicant has to provide, and after the assessment, after the application, what is the assessment to be done and what are the methodology to be followed, and based on the assessment, how the evaluation will be carried out based on the levels of consultants, and the examiners who reviews the application. That's what I could understand. There is not much of clarity what is the examiner and what is the assessment. The terminology is a little confusing one. And what are the guidance the examiner has to follow? My assumption is the examiner is the one to review the assessment and then giving a recommendation for a certification. And what is the certification decision? How it going to be? Certification validity, certification agreement, and as we all know that certification, when it is issued for a quality management system or a product for a CE certification, there is ongoing surveillance. Similarly, the consultants, there is a surveillance requirement, and at the end of certification period, there will be recertification. And there are few administrative actions like compliance, appeals, etc. They've been made briefly, and the charges, the fees to be collected for the certification process, though it is not indicated in the draft, but it is chargeable. That's what it means. So under these subsections, I would like to provide the information what is available in the draft. The applicant consultant has to apply to Skill Development Council or the approved certification body, which again, as I understand, it is to be decided whether Skill Development Council will take care of the certification or through the personal certification bodies, subject to that. That's what I given both the options in the prescribed form provided by the draft document with the documented information we need to provide against their credentials. And these applications received will be reviewed, and if the application found to be incomplete with all the information, credentials, and based on the criteria defined for various levels, then registration shall be done within the defined timeline. There is a timeline provided for the activity. The applicants can also be rejected based on certain conditions which have been stipulated in the draft document.
Manikam, just one comment right here so that everybody has clarity. The intent is to use personal certification bodies. However, my own experience tells me when I did yoga certification way back in 2015, it took 1 year for a certification body to come up for being approved. So as QCI, we ran that scheme for 1 year ourselves directly. Because in the market, who will certify consultants today, medical device? People may not have competence, or it may take them time. Even CBs who are doing medical device certification will need to take a careful business decision that they want to go into 1724, which is a different business line altogether, personal certification. So that's why this stroke has been mentioned, but the intent is to use PRCBs. However, in the initial phases, it's possible that if we don't get, I am in touch with some personal certification bodies, some have shown interest. So if right in the beginning, couple of them come up, LSSSDC will stay out. But if they don't, at least to get the scheme going, Skill Council will directly start certification. But the moment a certification body comes, they will cease to do certification because they can't be in competition with their own approved certification body. Just a clarity for all of you.
Yeah, understand.
Oh, okay.
Because we have seen couple of schemes what have been made. Even MDCCS, the certification body coming itself, it is taking a long
Challenge.
time. Then
It's a
even
challenge.
not even taken off. I agree with
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Agree.
So, sir, Johri sir, so initially LSSSDC is going to start this personal certification program, and later on all other certification body like SGS, BSI will enter into the same.
Again, I'll repeat.
Uh,
The idea is to use personal certification bodies. However,
yeah.
in our experience, it takes time for personal certification bodies to come up for approval, having the resources and having taken a decision to get into this. So
Got
until
it.
such time we get a personal certification body, Skill Council will directly certify. But the moment one certification body comes in, then it will cease to certify. It will be through personal certification model.
Okay. Got it.
And
Thank
I
you.
do not expect SGS, BV, etc. to come in easily because, as I said, it's a business line. It's not that you have medical device competence, so you can start personal certification also. They have to take a decision whether to enter personal certification at all. Then they could enter yoga certification. They could enter, there are hundreds of
Right,
NDT
right.
certification, hundreds of certification available. So a couple of bodies, I wouldn't name them as at this stage, but couple of certification bodies have shown an interest that they would like to do this certification. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
This is
Anil sir,
this is
Anil sir, will it again
Yeah.
be like, that for this standard, these certification bodies have to be assessed by NABCB again?
Eventually, yes, 1724 reference we are making, eventually, yes. But you know that every scheme I have been involved in, there is a system of
Mhm.
provisional approval, which is without
Okay.
accreditation. And it
Mm-hmm.
gives you a timeline of 1 to 2 years to get formal accreditation.
I mean, can any educational institute, like for example, these days, NIPers are teaching medical devices, that can they also start this?
Actually, one problem will come. Otherwise, in personal certification, if you look at, even traditional healers, couple of universities are there. And in any
Mm-hmm.
way, universities are a good source for personal certification. They already conduct examinations, etc. But
Yeah.
one issue that might come in is that, generally speaking, when I am into schemes, because I see a lot of conflicts of interest which dilute certification, we have seen, all of us are seeing in the market. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been pushing for some very stringent measures, which I have done in UNFCC also. Here
Great.
we always say that if you are a personal certification body, you shall not be engaged in education or training in medical devices. Because the moment you start training and then you
Yeah.
certify, that becomes a conflict of interest. So that
Yeah.
might prevent, if NIPERs, etc., they're teaching medical devices, so it might prevent them from coming into this domain.
Okay. Okay. Quite complicated out there.
It's a, see, ideally, if you ask my personal opinion is, a certification body should be a neat certification body, should do nothing else, not even training. But that's not how the word goes.
That's not the way it is happening. Actually, I mean, it'll get longer discussion. Let's finish this session. That's more
Yes, yes,
important.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as Anilji said, this is a initial thought process to have the certification through skill development council till a certification body get an approval. Then once it is approved, then they will cease giving the certification. That is the expectation. Assessment will be carried out in fair, impartial, and a structured manner to ensure that the scheme requirements are objectively and systematically verified with a documented evidence to confirm the competency of the candidate. So against the application, whatever the evidences they provide, credentials, that will be verified and meeting to the competency requirement defined in the document, and then based on which the assessment will take place. Then examination shall be conducted according the laid down procedure with impartiality, confidentiality, fairness, and transparency. Here, that's what I said, the examination and assessment, the terminology, I was a bit confused. Maybe that, Anilji, can you throw some light on this?
Which one?
Assessment and examination.
Actually, examination is the actual examination of the candidates.
Okay.
Assessment is a broader term where if you submit some document, they are to be assessed. If you submit some, for example, if we want evidence of projects done, that will be assessment of projects.
Right.
But
Okay.
examination is typically the actual written examination or the oral examination. Assessment is a larger term.
Okay. Fine. Tools applied for the assessment will be written assessment or the combination depending on the consultant level 1, 2, 3. The methodology will be adopted will be written assessment with objective and descriptive questions, test regulatory standards and foundational knowledge, take home case study with a practical scenario based assignment, evaluates application of knowledge, reasoning and documentation skills. Additionally, technical interview or discussion will take place to understand the competency in the domain specific competency of the individual, explores the depth of understanding and judgment of the candidate and their experience, to assess the contextual intelligence, industry fluency, technical synthesis, to how they grasp the complex technical data to understand, etc. Diagnostic ability to identify root cause analysis, goal focus, client information, conflict mediation, decision making, and various communication styles. So it is a generic, the knowledge and the skills will also be included in during the interview and discussion. And the evidences will be reviewed based on the project documents and records what they submitted, the information provided against the project, and then related documents and records. Confirming the authenticity and relevance of experience will also be carried out in the part of assessment. Written test methodology. For a written test, MCQ question will be used, 3 to 5 questions within 1 hour timeline. Evidence review methodology will to evaluate the evidence review with a panel of 3 examiners, not individual. There will be 3 to have a consistency of the evaluation. The submitted evidence from the applicant shall be provided to the panel for review 1 week before the interview, and maximum time for evidence review will be 1 Monday per candidate to give a detailed assessment and conclusion. Take home case study evaluation methodology will be Evaluation for take-home case study by panel of 3 examiners. The submitted take-home case study from the applicant shall be provided to the panel 1 week before the interview. During the interview, the viva would be included evaluation of the case study issued to the personnel. Interview methodology, evaluation of the interview to be done by again 3 examiners. The maximum time for interview evaluation will be 1 hour per candidate. This interview shall cover the competence standard, evidence review, as well as their case study review assessment, what have been given for a take home. The mandatory methods for the first time application of who are applied first in various levels. In a consultant, there will be written assessment, take home case study, interview. Senior consultant will be subjected to written assessment, take home case study, interview, additionally evidence review. Principal consultant will be subjected to take home case study, interview, and evidence review. It's the first time when they apply to the skill council. In case of renewal or they are upgrading from one level to the other, the method will be consultant, written assessment, take home case study, and interview. Senior consultant will be subjected to take home case study, interview, evidence review, and principal consultant will be subjected to interview and evidence review. So the methodology is a combination, but it is similar, but depending upon the consultant level, the method have been different. Examiner's appointment, the examiner has to meet the basic criteria set for the principal consultant as given in the competence standard prescribed in the scheme which MNG has presented now. The selection and approval process will follow the requirement defined in the scheme, and examiners must have minimum 15 years of experience in the medical device domain like industry, auditing, consulting, academia, or research. Any of these 15 years is the experience needed with the exposure to medical device regulatory and the quality management system activities and consulting approaches, and you should have an experience. Examiner shall use approved 10-point scoring scale consistently based on the scores on demonstrated evidence, not on assumptions, though everything will be documented, evidence will be made available. They record clear justification for each domain score. Avoid bias related to employer, qualification, or a background in context of education, religion, region, or culture. So they will be unbiased. Approach will be unbiased. Each evaluation methodology will have equal weightage that will also be documented. The score will be, if the candidate takes the score 0 to 5, it is inadequate or limited competence. So he may not be approved. 5 to 7, adequate working level competence, yes. 7 to 9 is a strong competence, independent approach. It can be seen, it's the independent competency, whether he can operate independently. 9 to 10, he is an expert on leadership qualities, leadership level competencies is seen. That's how they interpreted based on the scoring received from the examiners. Level-wise minimum qualification criteria established that will be adopted. The certification decision will be taken based on the evaluation of the objective evidence collected during the assessment process and then will be reviewed by an independent certification decision maker who is not been involved in the evaluation process. That means other than the examiners, there will be a separate individual, independent person who will be doing the independent certification decision making review. Certification decision shall be based solely on evaluation of evidence. Certificate level awarded shall be documented. Which level have been awarded? Level 1, 2, or 3. Candidates meeting all applicable criteria will be granted a certification against the applied level for which he has been subjected to assessment. The certificate will be issued for a period of 3 years from the date of issuance, provided there are no changes notified by the scheme owner or the certification body, as the case may be, for the competence standard prescribed under the scheme. So the validity of the certificate is 3 years. Every candidate who is getting approved will sign an agreement inclusive of code of conduct and ethical practices with the certification body or skill development council, as the case may be, prior to issuance of the certificate. As a reference to these certification bodies, a model code of conduct and ethical practice is provided that will also to be signed, and then the agreement will include this model code of conduct and ethical practices, which is generally every certification body follows similar way. There will be a surveillance during the period of certification cycle of 3 years. Surveillance in case of change in the competence standard. In the event of any significant change in the competence requirement, certified candidates may have to undergo the special evaluation with a limited scope which is specific to the change for which it has been assessed, and this will be done during, this is a special surveillance will be carried out. Regular surveillance will be conducted between 15 to 18 months from the date of certification. For the certified medical device consultant who have been working consistently in the field of medical devices or in vitro diagnostics industry or regulatory body, after being certified, for them, there will be no surveillance assessment on the production of evidence that professional has been productively employed or delivered the services as a consultant in similar capacity. So when they demonstrate with the evidences that they are continuously involved, and then their performance have been documented, evidence is provided, surveillance is not there. For surveillance purposes, the certified consultant shall be required to submit the details of consulting projects undertaken in the last 15 months. Whatever the consultant's project they have taken, that needs to be provided. Recertification will be taken up before end of the or expiry of the certification after 2.5 years. That means within 6 months earlier to the expiry, this recertification will be taken up. The recertification will be through the same assessment process as the initial certification for all certified professionals and completed before expiry. The CB will send renewal notice to the certified medical device consultant at least 6 months before the expiry of the certificate validity period for the registered email ID or to the registered address. And the certified medical device consultant will apply for renewal in the prescribed form along with the fee prescribed at least 4 months before the expiry of certification. If he doesn't want to continue, then he may not respond, then he will be off. That's how within 4 months, he has to provide the application, renewal application form, and pay the fees applicable. Change level certification. Change of higher level certification is prescribed on the application of medical device consultant will be made after ascertaining their competency, meeting to the requirement, and the assessment to the level of certification. The candidate will be issued with a new fresh certificate as initial certification instead of current certificate after returning the lower certificate. So it's a new certificate. Again, the validity for change level will be for 3 years, and the surveillance that will go on. Suspensions and withdrawal can be carried out by the CB on the certified person for a suspension or a certification with a due notice of 15 days after giving a chance to respond a personal hearing if desired by the professional when the surveillance shows unsatisfactory performance or any serious complaint or a feedback which found to be valid with the subsequent reviews. Any administrative requirement like a payment of fee or a timely provision of information, any violation of terms and conditions for the certification, any action of certified professional that brings certification scheme is a disrepute, then under these circumstances, suspension or withdrawal will be initiated on the certified candidate. The certificate can also be withdrawn by the certification body when certified medical device consultant contravenes the terms and conditions of certification and provisions of the certification scheme, like claiming or displaying the scope of certification other than that granted. If any evidence of any fraudulent behavior or submitting false information or a concealment of information is established, then the certificate will be withdrawn. The corrective action taken which are not ensuring compliance or the proposed plan of corrective action will take considerable time beyond 3 months for implementation, then the certificate is subjected to withdrawal, suspension, withdrawal. Any administrative requirement like payment of fee, timely provision of information, and any action of a certified medical device consultant that brings a scheme as disrepute, then certificate can be withdrawn. Complaints handling is also defined in this scheme. Complaints handling process is an essential control mechanism within the personal certification system. The CB or Skill Development Council shall establish and implement and maintain documented process for receiving, evaluating complaints, receiving complaints, and making decision on complaints received from any stakeholder with public accessibility. These complaints will have public accessibility. The complaint procedure shall be designed to treat all parties, complainants, applicants, certified person, and other affected stakeholders fairly and equitably without any bias. Complaint shall be evaluated objectively without bias or a conflicts of interest and by personnel who are independent of the subject matter where required. There is also provision available for appeals. The appeal handling process is another critical element of certification scheme, like any other certification, to support transparency and confidence in the decision taken by the Skill Development Council or certification body. The appeals handling process will be publicly accessible and any aggrieved candidate may appeal. The certification body or Skill Development Council shall retain full responsibility for all decisions taken at every level of appeals handling process and shall not delegate their responsibility externally. The appeal decision making will be made by Skill Development Council or notified panel of council or certification body who is not involved in the original examination, evaluation, or a certification decision. So independent appeal decision making will be performed. And the notified panel may constitute appeal panel comprising medical device and personal certification experts who are not involved in the evaluation and decision making under this scheme. Records and confidentiality. All records will be maintained securely, treated as a confidential, retained as per the procedure laid down by the certification body and the Skill Development Council, and also to meet any regulatory or a professional requirement. In the absence of any regulatory or a professional requirement, the retention of the record shall be maintained for the current and previous cycle. That means 2 cycles of certification, that is 6 years. Fees will be charged to the person seeking certification without any discrimination. The fee structure shall be publicly accessible and also be provided on request to anybody. The certification body shall notify and obtain consent to its fee structure at the application stage from the candidate before granting certification. So that during application stage, you need to understand the fee structure and you need to make the fees. As and when the fee changes, the same will be communicated to all, including the applicants, and their consent will be obtained at the time of renewal application stage. So these are the overview of the scheme. After listening, we expect to have a feedback that matters to keep improving. Thanks for patient hearing.
Thank you, Manikam sir. Thank you for that detailed overview of the scheme document and the certification process. Having presented both the documents which are released by LSSSDC, now I'll request Hemant just to briefly run you through the feedback form introduced by LSSSDC, where the feedback form is designed to capture the feedback of both the documents. Over to you, Hemant.
Right, madam. Sir, can you share your screen so that I can share my screen?
Yes, I have. I am coming to stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I stop.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is the website of LSSDC, the specific page they have created for feedback and scheme document and competency document they have published. So when you scroll down this page, here you can see the draft medical device consultant certification scheme document and submit feedback button. Either you can click on this button or you can scroll down a little bit down. Here also you can click on the feedback link. So any of you can use the button or link. When you click on this link, a new window is open, that is feedback form in the Google Docs. And here is the detail of the published document and the submission, last date of submission of feedback. And when you switch to your account, you may switch to, okay, right. So here I can putting my email ID to explain you how to give the feedback through this platform. And I wrote the name of organization and the designation and email ID and then contact number. And these are the stakeholder category they have defined. So medical device manufacturer, consultant, regulatory professional, academic institution, certification body, government organization, industry association, student, or if you not find yourself here in these all category, you can select others. So once you select the specific category related to you, there is a 3 option they have given specifically, one is for the scheme manual, another one for the competency standard, and third is for both document. If you want to give feedback on both document, you can choose the both scheme manual and the competency standard. So I chosen this one both. Then next, sorry, section of the scheme on which comments are being provided. So I selected introduction, then comment type. This can be the either you can write a no recommendation. If you've gone through the document, you did not find anything to improve further, so you can choose no recommendation. If you have the concern related to the editorial or typographical error in the version number or document number or date or the standard version number, and technical in terms of the requirement as per the 17024 standard, or the scheme document, and the regulatory, in the regulatory terms you can add the new regulatory which is required, or maybe you can suggest something else, and process improvement, addition or deletion of any clause or a specific requirement, and then clarification required. If you need a clarification from the scheme owner, so you can check this uh, point or other. So I am selecting the editorial typographical, this one. So I can show you this. I have already identified some issues related to the document. Okay. So I'm just copy and paste. So this is related to the version number of document, rationale of justification. I can put the same statement, then next. And this is clause 2, purpose and objective. So whatever you find purpose and objective, you can write here. Then no recommendation, NA, then NA, go next. In the scope, if you find something to add or delete from the scope of scheme manual, so you can choose here. So this form is beautifully framed by the scheme owner, clause wise or clause specific. So you can give your specific feedback based on the document available. And now you can submit it, all your observations, and you can finally submit this form to the LSSDC by 31st July 2026. So after that, their committee will examine all the feedback received from the industry stakeholders, and maybe they will uh, publish the final draft for final publication, or any further comment from the industry stakeholders. So that will be decided by them in their jurisdiction. So now, if you have any question about how to fill the feedback form, so I am able to answer you right now.
So that is pretty clear now. For each section or subsection, you have to add your comment and you have to
Yes.
give the
Yeah.
proposed, suggestion and the
Yeah.
rationale behind it, right?
Yes.
Right.
Each
Yeah.
clause and subclause. Yeah.
Correct.
One more clarification. This is the basic competence which is across sectors of subsectors of medical devices is expected. There might
Right.
be supplementary criteria for specific subsectors subsequently, and
Mhm.
one could get a specialized consultant's role. But this is expected from every medical who says he is a medical device consultant. this basic competence everybody should have. So this is only a basic criteria to that extent.
Right, sir. Right. So I can give you some example which I have identified, the guideline of management system consultancy services, that is ISO standard for the management system consultancy 20700, that is entirely missing from both the document from the competency as well as scheme manual. So this can be a feedback to the scheme owner. And in the code of conduct, the part A and part B, both, the integration of guidelines for management system consultancy need to be included. Likewise, you can uh, identify all your points or your review comments, and then you put it on the Word file, and one by one you can submit your feedback.
So you can individually submit your feedback. You can collectively through CCC also submit your feedback. Either way, it's okay.
Right. Yes, sir.
But it would be good to have CCC giving comments.
Yes, sir.
Is that done, Hemant? It's done?
Yeah, it's done already.
Done, right,
I'm
already?
waiting for the questions.
Yeah, couple of questions in the chat box also. Yes.
Okay.
Why is the standard ISO 17024 2012 version, and why not the latest 26?
So
What
this-
is the one question from Mr. Shashi Sinha? And so I think Mr. Anil Johri has already answered this. New standard has included AI, otherwise not much of a change.
Yeah, but when
And
when this was drafted, 2026 version had not come out yet.
Right.
But in finalization, we'll take care of that.
It was unpublished that time when the document is,
Yes.
framed.
Yes.
And I think next question is validity of certification, surveillance period, annual, biannual. I think Manikam sir, it is covered, right?
Yes, it is.
Validity of the certification and
3 years,
all the
3 years.
yes.
3 years it is.
And
Anil sir,
again, yes.
Anil sir, approximately what is the cost a consultant has to bear for keeping this certification?
Frankly, I have no idea. Uh, uh, Honestly, I have no idea. If you use personal certification bodies, we leave it to the personal certification bodies generally to
Yeah.
decide on
The reason I am
they will
raising
charge.
this is, yeah,
All I can tell you is the previous experience of, say, healer certification or yoga certification, where individual certification is going on.
Mhm.
It could be anything from 8 to 10,000 rupees uh, per person. Cost could be there.
And sir,
But you
what
will
is
see that this process is slightly more involved
Mhm.
compared to the others. When we are talking of take home exercise, and then we are talking of reviewing evidence of projects, etc. So it might cost a bit more, because then if you're having 3 people, start with that 3 people. If 3 people examiners are there and they are spending the time, and you are
Yeah,
paying them mandate, that will translate into cost for the consultants.
absolutely, and everything would be passed on to the applicant.
Yes, at the end of the day, the last customer, last person in that line pays, every cost, certification
That's very
cost,
true.
accreditation cost, peer evaluation
So,
cost, everything goes down to the last person in the chain.
in continuation of that, typically, I mean, there is a notification from CDSCO regarding the consultant's entry into the CDSCO. Will that perception or notification is likely to change if the certification scheme goes ahead?
Oh, you mean
See,
walking down the corridors?
See,
No, ma'am, this is important. This is
my
important,
view
right?
has been that the
Sorry.
regulator should stay away from should stay away at an arm's length from any system which is certifying consultants. They cannot be seen to be
No,
part of it,
I'm not
because
saying that. My question is not that whether they're party to the certification or not. My question is, as on today, there is a clear-cut notification from CDSCO that consultants are not allowed to go to CDSCO office. So if the entire ecosystem is saying we'll certify consultants, will their acceptance increase by the CDSE on that perspective?
To my mind, it should.
It should, right? But that's open, I think, which has not been discussed in the entire scheme development program. I sincerely request that
these kind of
you please
voluntary
bring in.
schemes, until you have the scheme in place, you can't start discussion with anybody.
We do risk management for medical devices, keeping things in mind which don't even exist or can't be perceived. Why not in this case? It should be brought into the discussions.
Here's
It's
a
important.
point. There's a
Yeah.
point. Once certified, all this.
Makes no sense otherwise to anybody. And second question I am saying, sir, I mean, it's a harsh reality of the industry that industry depends on moonlighters for a lot of things. If anybody getting certifications, will it eliminate moonlighters or they'll continue to rule the world? That's one point. Second thing, none of the funding agency, be it BIRAC or ICMR or PRIP or anybody, none of these people create a component of consultants who can be good for their regulatory profiling when they are working with innovations. So if somebody is making so much of effort, will there be a system by which they also get better money, better paid? I mean, it doesn't apply on me. I'm at the fag end of professionalism, maybe 2 years or 3 years down the line. But I am worried about that today we are charging so much of money in terms of education to the freshers who are coming out. I know there is of late there is a course going on which is charging good amount of money, and we are just loading them information. Loading information doesn't really comes out as a good work done. That is, somebody absorbs it, somebody doesn't absorb it. The problem is in the entire ecosystem is of doing rather than knowing. Knowing is lot available, today filling up a form, writing essential principle checking checklist, writing a design and development, appendix 2, appendix 3. Problem is in writing, problem is not in knowing. So if somebody is making so much of effort, will there also be, because industry or startup, the stakeholders, are they willing to pay for such kind of people? That's just a, question from my side.
certified versus uncertified, non-certified.
See, in a generic way, I will only say when you bring in a voluntary system in place, it's for the scheme owner to find ways of enhancing acceptance of that scheme, whether it involves talking to BIRAC, talking to ICMR, talking to CDSCO, talking to DOP, talking to funding agencies, etc., talking to industry to make them aware. So it's up to the scheme owner. The biggest challenge for a scheme owner is to increase acceptance of a scheme when it's voluntary. That's all I will say at this stage.
There is a question. Again, this examiner versus assessor, are they both the same or different? All those things, maybe some terms and definitions, some clarification, because there are no terms and definitions mentioned. Actually, that will help. Who's an examiner? What is an assessment? Who's an assessor? Is an examiner and assessor, are they both the same? Because we have not seen assessor being used anywhere. Examiner and assessment are being used, because all these terms clarifying also will help.
Sure,
Because
some of the terms maybe in ISO 17024 we will make a reference, and yes, but
because
again I clarified exam assessor is used typically by accreditation bodies or by scheme owners, not by certification bodies. So therefore you don't find assessor word used here, except when skill council sends out somebody to assess the certification body, that might be assessor. Examiners are typically who actually conduct the examination. But assessment process is larger than examination results feed into the overall assessment of a candidate, which might involve reviewing his application, reviewing his evidences, etc. So that's assessment. Anyway, that we'll say 1724. If it's not there 1724, then we'll put in the definitions.
Because the document mentioned under the terms normative references terms as per 17024 standard. The problem is many may not have access to the document, and stakeholders from industry and many stakeholders may not even know what that standard is all about. So at least key terms we need to capture it here, because the document says as per this, as per this. So we will give all those as feedback.
Understood. Give it as a comment. Understood.
We'll give it as a comment. Somebody is asking, is there a structured syllabi for the examination, as this is a generic assessment of the consultants with expertise in various aspects of consulting?
So the competence standard itself is the syllabus.
Hmm,
That is the syllabus. We will confine an assessment to those 8 or 9 modules which are there.
Right.
Right. Somebody is suggesting evaluator would be a more preferable term to use.
Send in a comment, we'll see.
Yeah.
I have
we'll see.
used evaluator in various places. Let's see.
I
So-
think I think we did not go through the 17024 standard. In fact, I did not go through because of that possibly certain definitions we have some non-clarity. I think when we go through the standard, we may get it.
Right.
I think 1724 uses examiner. That's why we stuck to examiners.
Right, right.
Yes, so maybe it's a personal certification, they use examiner.
Yeah.
In the
Right.
broad way, the scheme owner can use the assessment of the consultant, and the examination is a particular based on the particular curriculum defined in the competency document to the specific candidate. So this can be the written examination or oral examination or interview, or maybe some platform can be used. The LMS platform can be used for the examination.
Right. So I think we've just covered everything. We have come to the
There
far
is
end
a
of the
question under
session.
the chat
Yeah.
box. Can the examiner be principal consultant? It is no. But examiners should have the competency requirement similar to principal consultant. But
Correct. Correct.
Somebody
cannot-
raised that question.
Yeah.
Somebody raised that question.
That makes a very valid point, Manikamji.
Yeah,
Sure.
See, to
Yeah.
begin with, there will be no principal consultants,
correct.
but every personal certification body or the skill council would have to identify people who meet that requirement, evaluate themselves, and put them as examiners.
Right.
Subsequently, when consultants are available, well, principal consultant could certainly evaluate lower levels of consultants.
Right. Right.
But for principal consultant, and if you have noticed, principal consultant competence has one variation, which is examiner competence, which is years of experience. That is 10 years in the
15 years.
scheme, but 15
years.
years for the examiner. So we are looking at a even more senior person who would be evaluating principal consultants.
Even then, there's an additional criteria that they should be connected with the startup ecosystem as a mentor and all that.
And of course, conflict of interest applies everywhere. So that would be in any case applicable. That you can't be. I mean, you should not have been trainer for the candidates. Something will be there.
Somebody suggested definition of a project is absolutely required. Each product certification or a company certification of QMS will be considered as a project. Yeah, we will share all this in the feedback because the option is left. If you want to give direct feedback, feel free to do so. All the documents are explained. If you want to share the feedback, you can still give us your inputs against respective clauses. It's actually easy to give the feedback directly because you key in your feedback and then you submit it. Otherwise, you need to create all these things, move all these things to a Word document, and you can still send it to us. We are fine with it. I'll share CCC's website ID and email ID also. Feel free to submit it. Any other questions from anybody? Sharing our website, which has our email ID also. I will share this. So spend a little time on the documents and then submit your feedback, because generally we don't spend that little time now, and then later on, once it gets rolled out, then we'll keep flagging issues, raising issues. We have requested for extension of the time. Otherwise, actually, it's tomorrow. I think.
Yeah, it's done. Extension has been done already. It's done
Already.
to 31st July.
Yeah, so that is the reason. And so they have also amended the forms, like originally what were published and what are fine-tuned now. Now what is fine-tuned now is the detailed one. Originally what was published was different. So we've requested them to come up with all this. It's all done at our request. So just spend that little time and please submit your feedback, right?
Sure.
So no other comments? So we can actually close the session. So let me just give a formal thanks to Hemant and Manikam sir for taking your time and then, compiling all those beautiful slides. Somebody was requesting for the presentation slides to be shared. I said, I'll take your permission. If you're fine with it, we will send it to them.
I will provide to you. You can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forwarding right now.
Yeah, and all of you, please share this. All the session is recorded. It's available in our YouTube channel. Please send it to others. Let whoever couldn't join it, they can also watch the recording. And any doubts, any clarifications you have, you can always mail us. I will check with Nanikam sir and Hemant also. So thank you so much. And thank you, Anil Johri sir, for guiding us, supporting us as usual always. So let us put our brains together and let's come up with good suggestions and feedback. And whatever is, we may think that something is a silly doubt, that's fine. Let's put everything on the paper. Let's send it to them. Okay. And then let us see how it will be taken up. Okay. Thank you so much. So I must thank all the audience participants for joining us. And I'm sure there are about 70 people who have registered. I'm sure all others will be watching the session recording. And so thank you once again to the wonderful audience, as usual, always. Thank you then. Yeah, we'll sign off now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.